Drossos.
Dr. Andrew Steinberg.
And welcome to another episode of...
Have the balls to talk about it.
I'm going to love this episode, Andrew.
Yeah. So, I think, I guess because of the fields we're in and, we're hearing more and more, this whole area of anti-aging and everything like that has kind of been fascinating to both of us.
Especially being 47.
Yeah, and me being 30. That,
that's what we want to feel like.
That's what we want to feel like. That there's so many podcasts and books and videos and everything out there. It's a fascinating subject. It's becoming a little bit more scientific, which is good. So I think, we kind of decided that, we're going to talk a little bit now about what the issues are in terms of the whole field. And then I think we will roll out a couple of episodes where we look at some of these strategies for anti-aging. We'll pick them apart and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what we know today. But I wanted to sort of just define some things and sort of discuss about some of the more general things and issues with studying anti-aging and so on. So first, I think it's important that a lot of this is based on, we've done well now in increasing lifespan, right? The average male used to live to who knows what, and that's grown over time. And
now it's what, 82, I think?
It's in that ballpark. But we don't. But what's seen in these studies is that as the life increases, you're just basically hitting a point where your health and your wellness is not there, and then you live the last 10 years of your life with a minimal quality of life. So one of these books really focused a lot about improving health span, not lifespan.
Okay. Which book did you read?
Peter Attia's and
I read Lifespan with David Sinclair.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to talk about some of his stuff. So and the idea is that the ideal situation is that you live healthy as long as you can, and then you die healthy, basically. Yeah. You don't want to be, living in an old age home with no memory, in a wet bed full of urine, and so on. And we've been kind of good dodging some of those bullets. Someone can be kept alive on respirators and
dialysis,
all sorts of things, dialysis or whatever. But one, the cost to society is immense. And two, the quality of life that these people, and it's not for me to judge anybody's quality of life, but I think, I guess we're seeing that more and more with the right to die and assisted suicide and so on, because people don't want to live like that. So really the goal should be not to keep people alive as long as possible, but to keep people healthy as long as possible. So I think that's important. There's a lot of things we hear about anti-aging, and even now, and that's David Sinclair talks more about reverse aging.
Yeah, I saw
reverse aging. And we talk about some of these clinics that I see, they're focusing on anti-aging and whatever, but what they're really focusing is not disease prevention. They're actually focusing on early detection, which is not the same thing.
Good point.
They may both help in different ways, but prevention would be, doing all the stuff that you preach, exercise, diet, again, a million things, mindfulness,
sleeping well,
exactly. And early detection, because you see these people going for these body scans. I think Kim Kardashian just did an ad with one of these big places, and now it's obviously exploding. And we do it here, these annual physical exams, and we call them wellness exams. What they really are is early detection. And there's some studies or some specialists who say, well, blood tests and body scans. I mean, there's different strategies, and some are a little bit overkill based on the knowledge that we know. But that if we can keep cholesterols down to levels of teenagers, that we'll never see any heart disease. It'll be like this rare disease. So how early do we start? What do we look for? What do we treat? Again, I get that whole issue about cholesterol, treating it early. You see people who will say, okay, you're 32, your cholesterol is a little bit high, but you're still young, you're still healthy. But some of the data suggests otherwise, that we should be aggressively treating that. One of the important things is that these studies are very difficult to interpret. There's many confounding factors in when you look at these things. For example, if you look at the lifestyle, the lifespan of vegans, for example, and this has been touted that they live a vegan, you'll live longer and so on, but it's much more complex than that, because vegans to be a vegan, I'm sure takes a lot of self-control. People who have a lot of self-control and are thinking about their health probably do a lot of other things which are good for their health on general. And I'm generalizing, but I think that's probably, most of it is true. They probably exercise more than the average non-vegan. It's a whole lifestyle. Yeah. So to say that, the only way to study would be to have, 100 vegans and 100 non-carnivores, non-vegans, who exactly do the same amount of exercise, the same amount of sleep and whatever, and follow them for many years to come. So, these studies are really impossible. So you got to be careful when you read some of these or see some of these claims. You got to take them all with a grain of salt. Not to say that veganism is good or bad or whatever. I'm just saying, and the same thing can be said with anything else, that there's really a lot of other variables that we have to consider, and groups of people who are trying to be healthy, whether it's veganism or the opposite, these paleo diets and so on. Again, these people are trying to be healthy, so they're doing other things which are keeping them healthy also. So that's something important. There's some drugs, metformin, which is used for diabetes, rapamycin, David Sinclair, M&M or NAD, yeah. So that's what David Sinclair believes to be a anti-aging thing. And some of these have, I'll just tell you, there was
I was trying to look to get them, Edgewick. I just didn't know where to buy them from.
The FDA in the States has actually banned them and said they're assessing whether it should be considered a drug, so whether they should have control.
So they're off the market now?
I think you can. People have told me they've gotten them from.
I'm worried to buy them unless I buy them from somebody that
reputable places, right?
That's why I don't.
But the main store, which I don't think David Sinclair was involved in, or I don't know, or what he was buying from, or whatever, I think was shut down. I'd heard that recently. But some of these things come and go because the study is not clear. I know, for example, two of the guys I follow a lot is Huberman and Peter Attia. I suggest anybody watch their podcast. They really go into depth and look at the science, and they'll talk about one topic for 2.5 hours, which is beyond the scope of this. But for example, they both were on metformin at one point, and both are not on metformin now, based on the studies, based on how they felt, and so on. So some of these studies comes from mice studies, which are quite impressive data. But we're still a long way from saying, do this, do that, and do this, and you'll live healthy and happy till 130. And again, there's a whole slew of things. We talk about exercise. Yeah. Okay, that seems obviously a common theme that comes up again. And even Peter Attia in his book says, if you take away one thing of this away from my book, if you want to do one thing in here, of all the list of stuffs that we talked about, start exercising. And exercising, we had this conversation before, what does exercising mean? It's not just pumping iron, but it's anything. Yes. And you saw those videos about those countries or villages that live to 100.
Which is amazing. You guys should watch it on Netflix. And none of them went to the gym. They were just active, working in fields, going up, down the stairs. These are all people who lived in the field and constantly moving,
Yeah,
so.
And there's towns, I read about some towns in Asia, I can't remember where they were, that basically have built their cities around no transportation.
Singapore.
It was Singapore?
It was Singapore, yeah.
And so they're really walking all day.
Only 11% of population have a car.
Right.
The rest,
yes,
public transport.
Yeah. So, and again, there's so many benefits of that. We live in a world of, even walking around. Yeah, you're walking around malls, and you're driving on little scooters and whatever. But it's motorized bikes. We're just going further and further away of where we should be doing. We should be active on every step of the way. That's been shown time and time again. Diet, I mean, it's all over the place. When we include diet, we talk about low carbs, using the right carbs, veganism, carnivore. Paleo, it's all over the map, and there's probably something with all of them. And then the whole idea of what you eat is now spilling over into what you don't eat in terms of fasting, intermittent fasting.
Yeah, a huge fan of that, for sure.
Yeah, so I am also, but I think we need to see more studies and what's the best way, and
So I always tell people
there are science behind it, which is at least starting to.
My reference is always let your body and how you feel measure that.
Yeah.
Right. If certain things might work for you and not for me, you might feel good. Like I've tried all of them. I feel very good with an intermittent fasting,
right.
1 to 2 meals a day. I sleep better. For me it works.
Well, if you want to, I've philosophized about this a little bit in my mind, why this would be good, and I'm not pretending these are my ideas, I'm just thinking about what I've heard other experts talk about, and it's super interesting. If you, believe in evolution, and how we got to be how we are, we evolved to be the best hunters and live as long as we can in that type of society, and we were not eating 3 meals a day or 2 meals a day. There were days where we'd go
2 or 3 days
2 or 3 days without eating, and then we'd catch our next wild boar and have a meal and so on. So if you look at the philosophy of evolution, we probably have evolved to be, that would be a healthy way for our bodies to work. And there are some studies which show that if you, in the intermittent fasting, in the fasting period, our body goes into a self-repair, self-healing mechanism, decreases inflammation. So,
Andrew, would you do a 3-day fast with me?
My next goal is to do a 36-hour.
Okay. Have you done a 24?
I've done a 24. Okay. It was a couple of years ago. And, I want to try, Sunday night will be my last meal. And then I'll just do the water and the coffee, and you can put electrolytes, and they have those packages of electrolytes and magnesium, and then go to Tuesday morning.
I think if you could put this in and I've done this with a few clients, every Sunday do a 24-hour fast, let your body just cleanse everything out.
Yeah, I do believe in it. I'm saying it's still yet to be proven, but I do believe in intermittent fasting, and I do feel better when I'm doing it, when I'm not doing it. What have you seen about ice baths? That's a hot topic. It's a hot topic. That's a cold topic.
I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it in the baths where you go to what you call it,
spas or something.
Boda, and jump in the cold.
Yeah.
But I would do it when I would take a shower, 30 seconds, and breathe until I regulate my heart rate.
Yeah.
And once my heart rate is regulated, which would take about the goal is to stay under a minute. Once I regulate my heart rate, you're going to see that your heart's going to start pumping. The idea is to breathe, stay focused, regulate, and then boom, and it feels amazing.
Right.
Once you're done, it feels amazing.
Right. I don't know if I can do that. I mean,
but start small. Start. Just start by going from hot to medium. Do it for 30 seconds, and then don't just go straight into the cold.
Yeah.
Don't do what my son did, where I just put ice in the bath and he wanted to pretend he's cool and he just sat in there.
Yeah, I mean it's not for the faint-hearted. It's I like a nice warm bath.
If you have a heart problem or anything like that, you shouldn't do it, obviously.
Yeah.
But they say the extreme cold and the extreme hot.
Yep.
In a great show I watched, Limitless, he was talking about that as well. It's a great way to.
And and sleep. Sleep is so. These are some of the core topics. I mean, I think it's fine. It'll be hard to find someone to disagree that, sleeping well and eating well, whatever that is good for you. I think we still have to see about things like intermittent fasting, and although the data seems to be piling up, and then all these anti-aging or reverse aging supplements, medications, pills, whatever. We still have a long way to go.
For that, I still believe.
I
believe that, like you said, there's a long way to go, and I wouldn't bank on that. I would bank on what you can control right now, and that's how you eat, how you train, how you sleep. Also, control your stress levels, because that's a killer.
Yeah.
That I'm sure they didn't mention it, but obviously, when you look at Longevity 100, the one thing that they had is their why they woke up every day, their purpose in life, and why they wanted to be alive, their community and their support around them. And I think these are also, you know, you want to wake up to a life that you love, which is going to motivate you to want to stay in shape, and also just practice, you know, mindfulness, meditation, and having your community and the people around you.
So there you have it. Basically, we just spent 10 minutes saying we don't know what the best thing to do is. But no, it's true. It's really, you know, the obvious is the obvious, and those magic pills are not here yet. They're not here yet. Maybe they will be, maybe they'll never be, but you know, there are definitely things that can keep you healthy the longest. We know that, and just doing some is better than doing nothing.
Absolutely.
So more on this to come, where we're going to sort of start to really dissect some of these things that we brushed upon and start to dive into the data and everything like that.
So Andrew,
Have the
remember
balls.
guys, have the balls to talk about it. I'm gonna lift till 100, Andrew. 120.
All right, let's do it.